Hello, friends of structured data. My name is Fabian Zimmer, and I'm covering for Yanis, the product manager for the database group. He is out on PTO, and I'll talk about the 14.2 planning and update you on all the things that the database group is intending to deliver in GitLab's next release. So make sure to check out the planning issue. We have all of the details and links to our public backlog. So the top priorities for the 14.2 release continue to be addressing the primary key overflow risk for tables with an integer primary key. So to give you a quick update on this, there are several tables where the primary key is an integer and we run the risk of overflowing. So we have to update the primary key, which involves a relatively complex set of migrations. And you can read up on the details in this epic, but the gist is that we'll complete the last steps, well, some of the last steps in July. So for 14.2, specifically, we are going to swap the columns over for typos so that they actually utilize the new primary keys. This is really important because, as you can see, there is some forecasting on when these tables would overflow, but we're well in time, and we will keep you posted. So that's number one. We also continue to work on our automated database testing using thin clones, which is really exciting. If you're interested, there's a blueprint here on database testing, and the team continues to iterate on this proposal. So specifically for the next release, we're going to increase sort of our maturity levels, work on data migrations, and also, if I collapse this here, do a little bit of operational support and improvements. So we're continuing to work on this. This will make our engineers more productive and effective, and we will be able to make sure that database changes can be tested on production-like data before we actually roll them out. So I'm quite excited about that one. Another bit that I think is going to be quite interesting, and we've sort of spun out that work very recently, I'll talk on it on a high level, is that GitLab.com specifically has some very large tables, sometimes over a terabyte in size. This is way out of the, let's say, normal range for Postgres. And in order to sort of get back to best practices, we are trying to reduce the table size overall. There are several different strategies on how to actually do this. And we also still have to define the target tables and their respective impact. So this is something that we're going to do, or at least investigate. And lastly, we are actually now in a position where we can, for example, prune partitions for some of the tables that have partitioning on them, for example, webhook logs with the retention policy. So we can actually like drop data that is outside our retention policy, for example, by month or whatever it ends up being. This is a time decay pattern that will help us from bloating the database, which is quite exciting. So we're going to continue to work on that. I apologize, these should be 14.2. We had intentions, but at this point, it looks likely that this is going to run over. The other thing is that we are investigating the partitioning strategies for specific tables and also trying to attribute table ownership to specific tables so that the groups working on those actually understand, where they make their changes, and we can attribute required changes with the groups and then support them adequately. So there's a lot of interesting initiatives going on in 14.2. Please make sure to check out our planning issues, read up on the epics. We're excited for the next one. I think everybody is excited to wrap up the primary key overflow risk relatively soon. And thanks for listening. Bye.